I'm going to tell you why you're running your comps all wrong in real estate because it's really important. If you get the comps wrong, your ARV is going to be wrong. If you're a flipper, your value as an agent to a buyer is going to be incorrect and could put them in an uncomfortable position later. And in all forms of investing, you need to understand what the comps are. I'm even going to tell you how everybody is messing it up on the rent roll for multifamily properties. I'm Jonathan Green. I run a real estate team called Streamline Properties on Market, brokered by eXp Realty. I also have an off-market property acquisition company called Streamline Properties. I've been at real estate my whole life. Comparable sales are so important in the evaluation as an agent or an investor or anyone who's ancillary involved in the real estate field, because comparable sales are what tell you what the potential value is going to be of a property that you're buying. And if you get it wrong, you could be in big trouble. So let's start with your just traditional single family evaluation and how to actually run comps. My examples assume that you have MLS access. If you don't, you're not running comps as well as you could be. You may get a ballpark, but a lot of times you're not going to be able to be as tight as you want on the neighborhoods. So to run comps on, let's say, a 3-bed, 2-bath in X zip code, it doesn't really matter. The first thing you're going to do is plug in the exact zip code that it's in. You're going to run the 3 beds and 2 baths only, just stick to that. And then you're going to see what comes up. You're going to highlight them all, and then you're going to put them on the map. And then you're going to use the map to identify which ones are closest to your target property that you're running comps for. And you're only going to be looking for a quarter mile to a half mile to start. And you're only going to be looking for closings 3 months back. That's where I start. 3 months of closings back. That means I only go back, like today's November 22nd. I would go back 3 months. October, September, August to August 22nd, and I would run the last 3 months of closed properties in the same zip code. I would then open the map to see how close they are on the map to my target property, and I would only take the properties that are closest. If that's 2, great. If it's 3 or 4, great. I want all the 3-bed, 2 baths that are within a half mile to my property, even smaller if possible, and have closed in the last 3 months, because that's the best indication of what your actual value is. It's also an indication of what the appraisal value would be, because they're looking at the exact same comps. If you just run an entire zip code and base all your comps on that, that's not helpful. Zip codes are like hugely different across the board, especially if it's a very wide zip code, and areas are not the same. There could be one that's close to the train. If you're close to the train in one area, that's not the same value as being somewhere else. You could be across from the park. These things are all why you need to tighten up your radius to a half mile or less, and 3 months. If you find nothing, then you expand to 6 months and 1 mile, and you're really looking on the map to see what's closest to your property. And that's your just regular single family evaluation for comps. You want to make sure that you're taking into account the style of the home as well. We've seen this mistake over and over. If you're a colonial, which is your traditional house setup, multiple floors straight up and down, you're not comparing capes or ranches to those. Those are different styles of houses. So if you're running ranches, you only want to be running ranches, and then you may need to run them back farther just to make sure you're getting ranches. Sometimes it's good as an overview to look at all the 3 beds, 2 baths that match, but you want to make sure when you're actually firming up on comps that the house style is exactly the same. This is where agents go wrong. It's where investors go wrong and blow their ARV later. Remember, if you're looking at ARV, which is after repair value, you want to be looking at houses that are going to be the kind that you want it to finish as. And that's what the most important thing is. Let me take a quick stop into multifamily. Multifamilies are complicated. Remember, you are 4 units and under, you're doing traditional comparable sales, which means you're looking for homes that have sold. You're using the same procedures. You're not using a cap rate. That's for 5 units and above on apartments or mixed use or commercial, quasi-commercial type properties. So for multifamilies, you're looking for the same, but you have to get the beds and the baths correct for it to be valid. And look, multifamilies are a little bit tough. Sometimes they have what I call like a baby bedroom. It's like really, really small. They're counting it as a bedroom, but it's not really a bedroom. So sometimes in multifamilies, like if your target property has 5, you might want to go with 4 to 6 bedrooms and then the exact baths just to see. You have a lot of different configurations, like your 2+1, which is a 2-family with an illegal basement or attic unit, which technically you're going to want to look to compare those that have the same thing, especially if they're being rented out. And this is how you get true comparable sales. It's not enough to just plug it into a formula or let an algorithm tell you what the comps are. If you want to be good and you want to get your numbers correct, again, another reason why agents will not be eliminated. I can link to that video up there as I just posted that, is because agents in the business and experts in the business as investors understand that doing research on comps is very, very important, and they're really focused on getting it right so that the property configurations are pretty much exactly the same. That'll give you much, much less potential for trouble later on. And let me just hit rental comps. This will be the last thing that I go over. So when you're comping, say you want to buy a multifamily and you're either going to house hack it and live in one unit, or you just want to understand what the rent roll is. The biggest mistake that people make when they're judging rental comps, and this happens on some of the syndicated sites that will just tell you, I want all 2-bed, 1-bathroom rentals in X zip code. If you're looking and combining multifamily rentals with apartment rentals, your numbers are wrong. They're skewed too high if you're comping a multifamily, because apartments with 2-bed and 1-bath have way more amenities and they're going to rent for much higher. They're nicer. They have gyms and pools and they do a lot of the yard work, and all this stuff is not on your plate. Whereas in a multifamily, you're just living in a house with someone else. You don't have the same amenities, so your rents are going to be lower for 2 beds, 1 bath most of the time. Very important to note, because if you miscalculate what the potential rents will be, your income production on the property could be way off and your cash flow could be way less than normal. Look, comps are hard. I'm trying to tell you why you're probably doing it the wrong way in real estate. If you have questions, this is a great video to ask questions in the chat below and in the comments. I'm happy to answer them. These are just 3 basics on how to run single family, multi, and rent roll comps, but there's so much more that goes into it. I hope this has been helpful. See you later.